What's going on, Call of Duty fans, and welcome back to Around the CDL. As you can see, we are missing one member. Alex has some personal stuff going on this week, so if you want to send him some love, definitely hit him up on Twitter. His link is down below. So we're dubbing this episode 9.5 because it's not a full episode without all three of us here. And yeah, today we're just going to be going over week 2, talking about our pick'ems for next week, as well as a couple other topics. Preston, how we feeling?
Feeling good, man. Feeling good. Missing Alex, like I said, personal stuff. Send that guy all the love. But I'm feeling good. I'm happy to be here. Cool little duo episode going on, and I'm excited to talk COD. We had a lot of actual banger matches this past weekend. This past weekend was a sick weekend of COD, so I'm excited to get right into it.
Absolutely. Let's just hop right on in. I have Breaking Point open. We don't have to talk about every series, obviously, like New York 3-0ing Boston. Not a lot to talk about there. I mean, they won that.
Besides Boston throwing map 1.
Yeah. But a good one to talk about, second match of the weekend, OPTIC reverse sweep Minnesota. This one was definitely unexpected to start, right? Them going up 2-0 Minnesota, but probably the two best maps we've seen all year, that Karachi control and the sub-base hardpoint. I mean, absolute ice out of OPTIC and lack of ice out of Rocker. I mean, as the OPTIC fan, how are you feeling watching that match?
Well, I'll tell you this much. We got slammed on Rio, which was terrible to see because I thought we looked really good on Rio. And then just get absolutely thrown in the blender on that map 1. I'm like, geez. Well, Vivid had a really good map 1. So I was like, okay, maybe he just had a really good map. He took over. Linz took over. So I was like, okay, let's go to map 2. Term S&D was looking good. And then Shotzi kind of made a boneheaded play and kind of gave him a couple rounds in a row. And we lost like a tight one, I think 6-4. And at this point, I'm like, geez. This team's tough. Reverse sweeping these guys are going to be hard. It all starts here. And then we go into the control, and it's kind of back and forth, back and forth. I'm like, okay, all right, this is all right. And it was 4 offensive wins. We get to that round 5 offense. I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, round 5 offense. Sure, yeah, every team has one offense here. Obviously, nobody has a good enough defensive setup. And they started slamming. I'm like, GG's, it's over. It's over. And then I don't know if it was just... Well, first of all, it was kind of like a little bit of both. It was like an insane clutch from OPTIC and an absolute throw from Rocker. Wake decides to call in his streak, which is far too late, in my opinion. Far too late. He should have called it in probably like 25 seconds earlier. Ken dies. Somebody gets his trade top fire. Somebody gets a kill somewhere else. And then I don't know what Reese was thinking, but Reese just hops out of point, goes like top telephone, and just gives his life up. They go 3 down, and it leaves Lamar in like the worst spot ever. He's just staying alive, waiting for his team. And then they just stack the point, man. When you got people on, that thing goes fast.
It does.
By the time Wake gets out of his cruise and the other guys get over the half wall, OPTIC need 2 kills and the round ended. And I mean, that's all it was. And then that sub base was insane. And at that point, I'm like, if we lose this series, I'm going to be even more sick to my stomach. I would have rather been 3-0'd. So we clutched up. Good game 5. That was an insane series. It really was.
It was genuinely, I mean, not only probably one of the best series this year, but one of the best series in a few years. Like, that's one that like people are going to remember. I mean, I honestly, I think in that when it was like 3-12 or whatever, 3-14 in lives on that control, Minnesota probably were like, they got 3 left. Like, that's why they kind of just started like not really. Maybe they lost their focus for a little bit because they thought it was like guaranteed over. I mean, typical out of OPTIC, man. To not like give up, you know what I mean? Like to still have a strategy and hit that out and like play together and not just like, oh, whatever, there's only 3 of us. Let's just all throw our lives away. Super typical. I just want to point out.
Give a real quick shout out. Real quick shout out before we go on. They released the comms, and in the comms, Kenny was dead the entire time. It was Pred, Shotzi, and Bruce alive. Kenny was dead. He did not stop speaking that entire time. He was calling out for all 3 of those guys while he was dead. First of all, that's a W teammate. Second of all, that's probably why everything was so clear and calm, because they looked completely calm. They weren't frantic at all in the comms. So shout out Ken. I thought that was super cool. He's dead. And at this point, I bet you all of them were probably thinking that they had lost the series.
Oh, yeah.
But he kept them in it, and they won that map. They ended up winning the series. So that's all I had to say. Shout out Ken.
Absolutely wild. Yeah, I just wanted to point out before we move on, Vivid went 90-90 on the series. 180 engagements. I mean, I don't think it's been a minute since I've seen that many kills and deaths at the same time in a series. I mean, that's just like that's insane pace out of Vivid. So I mean, shout out to him. I guess they lost and they're like 0-3 now on the stage, but
Yeah.
man,
back to back game 5 losses
dude,
for Rocker.
it feels bad. I mean, we could talk about it a little bit now just for the sake of it. I truly think they're one move away, bringing someone in for Awakening from being like a actual top 4 consistent contender. I just don't.
I don't know who he is,
but I don't know who they'd bring in either.
I don't know who he is, but I've seen a lot of people saying they need to bring in some Cobra kid from Challengers.
Cobra?
I don't know if he's teamed. I don't know if he's teamed
I think
with
he's
Linz.
French. I think he's French.
Okay. I don't know if he's teamed with Linz or not, but apparently he's disgusting and he plays like the Wake rule. So I don't know.
I wouldn't be surprised if they continue to struggle a little bit here.
Because it looks like Rocker has an absolute gem for the future before he gets poached from somewhere else. So if they can maybe get 2 gems for the future, who knows? Maybe that little surge area in the Rocker coming up. Who knows?
Yeah, they got to figure it out because I like when they're winning. But speaking of teams that aren't winning, the Miami Heretics got reverse swept by the Las Vegas Legion, who are obviously a team that are playing pretty good right now. So we can talk about them too. But Miami, probably one of the 2 worst teams in the league at this point. Even after that move, I mean, Eric Boom went -21 in this series. He's been a bit up and down, but I really don't know what they do at this point because, like, what do they bring Journey back? Do they give Real a chance if his visa's all sorted? Like,
yeah, I just it's a rough spot for them right now. I don't think bringing Journey back would be an answer. It's just like you're recycling old trash, and I'm not calling Journey trash. I'm just saying, like,
it's a phrase,
you take you take something out, you don't immediately put it back in. It's not going to work. I think you maybe try Real, get his issues fixed, and try him out. Eric Boom, nothing against the kid. I mean, he plays really well in Challengers. Maybe this team's just not the right fit for his pace, his play style. I don't know enough about him yet. I know he played really well down in Challengers, so I'm not knocking him as a player. He's just not cutting it out right now, and they're not going to win many series with the way that he's playing. So Vickle also has been struggling, but Eric Boom's been struggling pretty bad. So Meadows and Lucky are like the 2 that are really, really consistent. And I think from what we saw, Real is kind of disgusting. It's just, he's been playing on like triple-digit ping. He was playing on that god-awful Ravens squad. So if he gets his visa fixed, I'm excited to see this guy get a real chance. And, maybe Heretics can kind of bring it back. Because right now, I mean, I don't see them winning many series, and they will not make champs if they keep playing the way that they're playing. So,
no, they have to sort it out because lucky for them, they had no pun intended. They had a good couple weeks where they're still in like the top 8 in the standings. They're 7 right now, despite not winning a game in since
6 weeks.
Oh yeah, for a long ass time. So. They're very lucky that they're not at the bottom of the standings, kind of where Thieves were sitting with their roster change. But speaking of Vegas, first of all, Nero went 94-67 versus Miami in that reverse sweep, a plus 27 on the series. That guy absolutely cooked, especially in that series versus Toronto. I mean, they only won 1 map, but they 6-0'd the best S&D team in the league. Vegas, man, they're just like, they're proving the haters wrong. I got to tip it to them because it's insane.
I'll say 2 things. Number 1, this is the Nero that I love to see. I'm not expecting him to put up a 1.4 every series. It's not going to happen. But this guy flies, and he's nasty at it too. He's not just flying just to fly. He's got some of the best gun skill in the league, in my opinion. The guy snaps. He fries. So when he is on, your team is going to succeed. They are. So shout out Nero, number 1. Number 2, and this might get me cooked. I don't care. Shout out Purge, man. Shout out Purge. Do not care. He's been getting slammed with an AR. He's been looking good on his sub. People are going to look at it. He's like, oh, he's still dropping 0.9. I don't care. If you look on the mini map, that guy is in the right spot on the map 85% of the time minimum. He's in the right play. He's helping his teammates. He's positioning himself and putting himself in spots that are tough so his teammates can succeed. Attach has been frying. Nero's been frying. They bring on a newcomer, Geo. He's frying. They just beat the best S&D team 6-0. He was frying in that S&D. He looks way more comfortable with the sub. He's putting his teammates in positions to succeed. And Vegas look really good, man. They do. They're not quite in the level where I think they probably can be if they get more practice with the squad. But the fact that you even took a map off of Toronto and both HPs were close. Both HPs were like within 30, 25 points. So, I mean, that is promising in itself. Toronto's a great hardpoint team. They were on like a 10-map S&D streak, I'm pretty sure. So,
yeah,
I mean, that to me enough is a huge victory for Legion. Not to mention they're 2-1. I mean, they're like one, if not bare max, 2 games away from winners bracket.
Yeah, I mean, look at their upcoming schedule. They play Boston, who are also 2-1. Then they play LAT. They play Seattle and Ravens. So they can 100% make winners bracket. They could easily go 2-2, if not better, because they could beat Surge and Ravens for sure. Probably Thieves and maybe even Boston. They could win all 4 matches.
Those are 4 winnable matches, really. They should beat Ravens and they should beat Surge. So I'm going to give them 2 wins there. They could beat LAT and Boston.
Yeah, depending on who comes out for those 2 teams, because they're very up and down squads.
Yeah, LAT just won their first series in like forever.
Yep.
But they beat a struggling Heretic, so I'm not sold quite yet. This Legion has a shot to go 5-2, 6-1 area.
Oh yeah.
But shout out them, man. They deserve it.
They should make winners bracket. They should win at least one. I want to say at least 2 of those matches. For sure.
I think 2 is fair. I think 2 is fair.
Yeah. So they're definitely, I mean, they're gonna go into the major. And I mean, if they end up going, like, if they can go 5-2, they're likely gonna play a team who had a worse record probably in the qualifiers, which means they could go up against maybe a team like Boston in round 1 and find themselves in like winners round 2 with like a top 6. That'd be insane.
Yeah, 5-2 is probably good enough to get you a 3 seed. Is my guess. Somebody's gonna go 6-1. Somebody, if not 7-0. Yeah, and maybe another team under that goes 6-1 or has a better map count at you than 5-2. But I would think 5-2 gets you 3, at worst 4. So I mean, you're playing probably a 5 or 6 seed if you're 5-2, and you got to be feeling good. I mean, if you're a 3 seed at 5-2, 6 seeds probably 3 and 4. And, you know, maybe they had a harder schedule, who knows? But, I mean, that could be like a Boston. That could be like, I mean, honestly, it could be a Rocker if Rocker win 4 in a row. Like,
I don't know what they're going to, but yeah.
Who knows? I'm impressed with what I've seen from Legion. They kind of flipped a switch, and everybody was doubting the standing move. I was as well. I'm not going to sit here and act like I wasn't. I liked the idea that they were sticking with Purge and putting confidence in them. I don't think Sandy deserved it, but obviously I was wrong. Maybe he wasn't doing something because they look good, man. They do.
They seriously do. I'm sure we're going to talk about them a lot in the coming weeks. The next series, I don't know if you want to say anything about it, really. It was OPTIC Gorillas. OPTIC got crushed on Karachi HP map 1, but then they pretty much kind of, you know, they handled business the next 3 maps. So I don't know if there's anything really you want to say about that, but it kind of went as expected other than that map 1.
Yeah, even map 1 was expected to me. We played our auto veto. That's only our 2nd time this year playing it. So, and that's LAG's literally statistical best HP. So that was purposely in there for map practice. And I'm going to assume that in the back of their heads, OPTIC thought that they could win that series regardless if that map was in there or not. So they probably just wanted a rep on it in a match. I wasn't worried. They got slammed, and, you know, Twitter being Twitter just overreact like, oh, they look terrible. Oh, these slow starts. Yeah, whatever. They played a map that they haven't played since match 1 of the year, by the way. They played New York on December 8th, and that was the only time they played Karachi HP. So
LAG's another team struggling. Very much struggling. So last match on Saturday was the first win for LA Thieves in quite some time. I mean, listen, for one, I have to say I'm very happy the boys won. Even happier they won a hardpoint, especially considering I think hardpoint's probably Miami's best mode. I don't know exactly statistically, but I mean, they're competent in every mode, but taking a hardpoint, Miami's obviously pretty bad right now, but got to feel good about that. It definitely was. I mean, Ghosty went plus 12 in that HP. He was absolutely cooking with 100 seconds in Hill. He won both searches, which is really good. They said they'd been working on SND, so that's great. One thing I really want to point out, well, other than Ghosty absolutely fried almost 20,000 damage. I mean, dude had an amazing series. Kremp went -11 in the series. I saw a lot of people kind of talking about like, oh, Kremp's not really doing much. He had the second most damage on the team. So he was putting in that work. He just wasn't finishing his kills. And honestly, obviously, I want him to have better than a 0.9 KD for sure. But someone on your team is gonna probably end up with less than a 1 KD most times, unless you're just absolutely frying the other team. So I don't think it's anything to overreact on. I think if Kremp is going to be that guy that maybe doesn't drop a 1 KD, but puts the damage in and enables his teammates to finish kills and make it easy for them, I'll take it, man. It's much better than where we were. So I saw some people overreacting. I don't think it's a lot to overreact on. They showed a lot more promise than we've seen a very long time. So I'm very happy with the result.
Yeah, and you should be, right? They won both S&Ds. That's great. You're going to win a lot of series if you can win both S&Ds. Obviously, you win the series if you win map 5, but if your S&D is looking good, you're going to win a lot of series. They won their first hard point in a very long time.
Thank God.
You saw the reaction from all the guys, especially Dan. They were loving it.
They were hyped.
Long overdue. And you know, they looked a little okay in control, but Miami's been statistically a good control team all year. So I didn't overlook that, or I didn't look too much into that control loss, because Miami, regardless with Eric Boom, Journey, didn't matter. The core three that they've been playing with have been solid at control all year. So I kind of expected them to lose that map 3. I will say that man Dan is nasty. He is so good, man. He is so good. The guy's getting his flowers. Absolutely love the guy. I was messaging him after saying congrats on the big win. He came back and he's like, I just needed to hit one more nade for 20K. I was pissed. I was dying.
Dude, literally.
Guy is absolutely cooked and he's worried about 20K. I was pissing myself. But I'm happy for them, man. I'm happy for Dan. And hopefully they can take this win and move forward with it, man, because the league is better when LAT is playing good.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Tough Major 2 schedule. We play Rocker and then Legion maybe as our next 2 matches. So definitely going to be tough. I know we definitely play Rocker next, but Rocker is struggling. So there's an opportunity for us to pick up some more wins. So I'm looking forward to it. Ravens, Surge. I don't know if there's much you want to touch on here. Surge are the worst team in the league by far. Ravens are maybe like 9th or something like that at this point, but I mean, Surge they look abysmal. Somehow they still win Terminal, Search, and Destroy. And Search is still a good backbone for them, but they are by far the worst team in my opinion.
Yeah, any team with Kyler is going to be good at Search, right? I mean, that guy's just really good. Alec really took over, but that guy he puts his team in positions to succeed in S&D. So, but that being said, that team is terrible, man. That team is terrible. They're not going to win a series for a long time. They aren't. They are not going to win a series for a long time. All respect to Brezzy. He does not deserve to be here. He looks absolutely lost. He's played multiple series with like below a 0.7. That's terrible. You're in a rough spot filling Illy's shoes, who was playing really well, but you've at least got to show that you somewhat belong here. Right now, he's just not at all. They're in a rough spot, man. They're not going to win. They're going to probably go 0-7 this split. They're probably going to get top 12 at Major 2. And then you got to hit the books fast and figure out what you're going to do, man. A 2-person change, 3-person change. I don't know what it is, but unless you want this year's season to be an absolute disaster, you got to do something quick. If that's bringing back Illy, if that's I don't know. I doubt they even consider that, because we haven't even heard an even glimpse of anything that's happened. So I just think they're chalked, man. I really do. I will be stunned if this team makes champs, really.
Yeah, they're going to either need some insane turnaround or a couple people swapping in and out there for it to work out for them. Second to last series was Rocker Breach. Breach took it in game 5, 6-1 in that game 5, by the way. Absolutely cooked Rocker. Honestly, it's very surprising how bad Rocker have been, obviously, considering how good they were to close out Major 1 and like the qualifiers and the event. First time in a while, I think I've seen Lins go negative. The whole of Rocker went negative on this series. I don't know what's up with Rocker, to be honest. We touched on him a little bit earlier, but I got to say, Boston looks so much more comfortable and like they understand what they're doing with ASIM on the team. And I think that could also be not only because ASIM's a vet, and he can probably help Snoopy a little bit more, but also he knows when to slow down a little bit better than Capsidal does. So they just look so much more in control of the map when they're playing. And I like this Boston team when they're winning because they're really, really fun.
Yeah, I mean, I'll tell you right now, I know what Rocker's problem is. First of all, for starters, you've got people that struggle in S&D on that team. Wake has never been a great S&D player. Lamar is okay at S&D because of his call outs and his strats and the leadership factor, but it's never been one of his best game modes. And Vivid's too inconsistent. And on top of that, if you're not going to be a good enough S&D team, you've got to at least have some sort of slaying to where you're always competing in the respawns. And unless Lins and Vivid are absolutely frying, they're severely lacking slaying. You cannot have Lamar being the second best player on your team. You can't.
No.
I mean, that's no disrespect to Lamar, but that's just not who he is as a player.
Not
Lamar is the player. No, Lamar's the player on your team that is literally doing everything he can to make the other three players on his team better. That's how he's been. He's always put his team in positions to succeed, and he's always just completely given them all the flowers in the world. That's who he's been. When he is your second best slayer on your team, you've got a problem. You have a problem. So they need somebody that can come in and just start absolutely slaying. And I think maybe Wake needs to go if they want to do a 2-person change. Maybe Vivid as well. I don't know. I think Vivid has been playing well enough to keep his spot.
Yeah.
I still think the inconsistency with him kind of just throws his name to the side a little bit, which sucks. If he just could figure out a little bit more of a consistent basis, he'd stay. But Wake has just been so underwhelming to me, man. He really has. And he's in a position with this team to succeed. This is one of the better teams he's been on, to be honest. I just don't know what's going on. I don't.
Yeah, I don't know what's up with Wake. I really thought coming into the year, did I think this team was going to be, honestly, like in the top 4, top 5 like they have been? Not really. But I thought Wake and Lamar were going to be a good pairing because I thought Wake was going to make up for Lamar's lack of slaying. But boy, was I wrong because he's worse at slaying than Lamar is this season. So I still think they need to make a move to get rid of him. I think Vivid and Lins are a pretty good sub duo. And then I think Lamar deserves his spot as of right now. So I really think they got to just replace Wake.
Yeah, I do too.
And then last series of the day, or of the weekend, I'm going to pass this right over to you because you called it. You were the only one on the show to pick it. So how are you feeling when you saw this Subliners upset?
First map, I felt terrible. I'm like, this is a 3-0. It's done. I picked these guys, and it's... But, man, I said... with my pick'em, I said, listen, they just need to win one S&D. I'd never expected them to win both S&Ds. Not against this FaZe team. And in the fashion that they did it, too. They were in control majority of both of these S&Ds. The last map got a little hairy. FaZe won 2 rounds in a row to push it to, like, 6-4. But... man, that high-rise S&D was not close. It was not close. FaZe slam map 1, and I'm like, okay, this series is done. And then New York just came back and slammed map 2, and I'm like, okay, we got a little bit of a series. And then it was a good series from there, man. But I never expected this FaZe team to lose both S&Ds. Never.
No, it was honestly very surprising. I mean, the fact that our 2 best search and destroy teams, Ultra and FaZe, both got 6-0'd this weekend is really crazy, but it just goes to show you that, like, the league is more competitive than maybe we realize. I mean, it is still pretty top heavy. If you look at the standings, there's only 4 teams with a positive record right now. But yeah, major shout out to New York for they're 4-0, man. They're 4-0 right now on this. They're going to be in winners again, giving themselves a chance to bounce back at Major 2. And I also want to give a major shout out, honestly, to 3 guys. I was going to only say 1, but Kiz, Abizi, and Shotzi, all 3 of those guys, I thought were probably the worst guys on their team after Major 1. Not saying they're bad, but the worst. Those 3 guys have stepped up massive in this Major 2 qualifiers so far. So big shout out to all 3 of those guys because they were all catching some flack for kind of costing their team here and there. And as that entry SMG, it's going to happen, but they've all really stepped up.
MCW nerf, man. They playing on a new pass now. added Rio. MCW got nerfed a little bit. It's still really good,
Mm-hmm.
but I mean the distance has been nerfed a little bit. You're not winning gunfights up close unless you hit probably 2 headshots. So entry subs are able to use the sub a little bit more, get more comfortable on the map, and they're starting to take over for sure.
I love it. All right, now it is time for the pick'ems for week
Yeah.
3. There's only 8 matches for week 3 because lovely CDL schedule, and
Yeah.
only 2 on Friday. Optic only plays once. LAT only plays once, so we're feeling great as fans over here. But we'll kick it off. Atlanta FaZe versus Minnesota Rocker. 5% of people are voting for Rocker. And honestly, I'm surprised it's that much. Maybe it's just because FaZe lost to New York. I'm gonna go FaZe 3-1 probably here. We'll see if Rocker can bounce back, but I still would think FaZe is definitely better.
Yeah, FaZe look like the better team here. I'm gonna go FaZe, but I'm just gonna keep the trend going and take FaZe in game 5.
All right.
I just think that Minnesota lacks some ice right now or something, and I think they're a good enough team to compete in the respawns with these guys because FaZe typically they're good in the respawns, but they struggle more in the respawns than they do the S&D. So maybe Minnesota win like map 1 and 3 or something, or 1 and 4, both hard points. I'm not sure, but I think they lose another game 5. And until they figure out S&D, I can't take them to win a series unless it's against a worse team, which this is not.
Yeah. And then we have Toronto versus Seattle Surge, the best versus the worst team in the league, in my opinion. Honestly, I might use my freaking little flame icon for the double points on this series. I'm going 3-0 Ultra. I mean, they did get 6-0'd by Vegas, so maybe it's possible with Surge being a solid SND team. But I'm gonna do it, dude. I'm gonna be bold. I'm using my little boost on this. I'm going 3-0 Toronto Ultra.
Yeah, you know what? I'll match you as well. I'll do my boost, and I'll
Let's
also
go.
lock in 3-0.
I definitely can see Surge winning this, especially if they play Terminal. So hopefully Ultra ban that, but or winning the SND, I mean, not the series. But man, I just really hope Toronto 3-0 because now I use the double points. I need it.
Yeah. No, me too. I was gonna make a joke and say, you know what? I do this every weekend and see what you said, but it didn't feel right. It didn't feel
No, I
right.
don't even think I would have believed you. All right, and now we have Boston Breach versus the Las Vegas Legion, a battle of honestly the two
Ooh.
teams that have looked the best from that bottom half. 65% are going Boston, 35% are going with the Vegas Legion. I think I like Legion here. I think personally I like Legion. Maybe I'm gonna go 3-2 because I think these teams are pretty evenly matched. Um, I just think Legion's SND is a bit better, a bit more consistent, and that's enough for them to beat Boston.
Yeah, you know what? I'm gonna match you. I'm
Let's
gonna match you with
go.
the exact score as well. I'm gonna go Legion 3-2. I'm impressed with both of these squads.
Hmm.
Really, they both look much better than they did a few weeks ago. I just think Vegas has impressed me just a little more. Being that close to winning 2 hard points against Toronto, ultimately you lose both, but still putting up that good of a fight against Toronto and beating them in their best game mode the way that you did, that can't go unnoticed. However, I'd be a fool to sit here and say that it wouldn't shock me if Boston came out and won as well,
Oh yeah,
just because they've also impressed me. So I'll just go 3-2 Vegas, and I hope that this is as much of a banger in the game as it does look like on Pick'ems right now.
yeah. I definitely think this should be a good one. Usually these first matches aren't that interesting, but that one looks pretty good. Then we
Mhm.
have Optic versus the Royal Ravens. I'll pass it on over to you first. What do you? I mean, 5% people are voting Ravens. So what do you got?
Yeah, I mean, this probably should be a 3-0. Realistically. I think we're better in probably every game mode, but probably give them a map, I guess. I don't know. No, I'll go Optic 3-0. I don't do 3-0s enough, so I'll go Optic
Same.
3-0. Yeah, I mean, I got to go 3-0 more, so there you
Yeah.
go.
No, I feel you. I don't 3-0 enough either. I am gonna go 3-1. I think Optics just I don't know. They're coming out slow in their series. I guess next weekend could be different. Um, but I'm gonna go 3-1. I'll give Ravens that map 1 HP. I think maybe they can steal it. Maybe in
Yeah.
like a close little, win a rotation at the end of the map type of thing. But yeah, I think Optics should pretty handily take care of the Ravens. And then our
Yeah.
last match of that day is a kind of a burger bowl here. The Seattle Surge versus the Los Angeles Guerrillas. 60% of people are voting for LAG. Like we said, I don't see Seattle really winning a series for a minute here. But I mean, I guess there's always a chance they can beat LAG, who seem to be struggling a little bit. But I just think Diamond Con, Estriel, Fame, like I think those guys are just better in respawn, especially Diamond
Mhm.
Con. So I'm gonna go 3-1. If it goes 3-2, honestly, Surge might win. So I'm gonna go 3-1.
Can we swap match 1 and 3? What is this
Yeah, why
going?
is
What?
this dude? I don't even want to watch this match.
You got an absolute banger first series of the day, and you give us this for the
I
last.
guess when they made the schedule, the teams were kind of swapped. Like Gorillas and Surge were kind of good, and Legion and Breach were not that good. Like after Major One, you know what I
I
mean?
guess.
So I
Yeah, I
guess they thought
guess.
this was gonna be a banger, but it ended up not being.
All right, I'll go Gorillas 3-1. I mean, I'll give Surge the benefit of the doubt with the people on that team that they could probably win a map, especially against Gorillas. I just think Gorillas is a better team. Um, I will not be voting for Surge in any of these pick'ems for the near future until something changes. So
Yeah.
I'll go Gorillas 3-1. I don't care who they play. They could play Heretics. They could play Ravens. It doesn't
Mhm.
matter. I will be voting.
And they'll probably win eventually and prove us wrong, but I'm gonna need to see that before I can be confident giving them a vote.
Yeah, same here.
And then we move on to Sunday. New York versus Miami kicks it off. Honestly, I'm just gonna go 3-0 New York. Same thing as you said earlier. I don't give enough 3-0s, and I just think New York looks good and Miami looks bad. So I think it's pretty simple on my end.
Yeah, I mean that makes sense to me. I'll go 3-1 New York. I think probably Miami's a better control team than New York.
That's fair.
So I think maybe Miami might win the control, but New York shouldn't lose a hard point to this team. And what we saw this past weekend, they shouldn't lose the S&D either.
Hmm.
So I'll give Miami a map, and that's it.
Very nice. And then somehow this isn't the last match of the day. It's a rematch of Major One Grand Finals, Toronto Ultra versus Atlanta FaZe. 70% are voting for Ultra, 30% are voting for FaZe. I mean, I have to go Ultra here. They just beat them twice, pretty convincingly at the major. Of course, you can never count out FaZe. They can always win a series. But I'm gonna go 3-1 Toronto Ultra. I still just think they're the better team.
Yeah, I'm gonna go 3-2 Toronto Ultra. I just, FaZe look like they're struggling in S&D all of a sudden,
Hmm.
at least against New York, and I would argue that Toronto probably has better S&D than New York. So,
Hmm.
uh, I just think until FaZe solidify a single game mode that they are good at, they're gonna struggle beating this team. So, I will go 3-2 Toronto. I think it should be a close series regardless, but this could be like one of those things where the two maps that FaZe win are gritty, and the three maps that Toronto win are just not close.
Hmm. Yeah,
We'll see. We'll see.
I am excited for that one. I'm very excited. And then last match of the weekend, I gotta wait all the way till Sunday at frickin' last match to see my boys play against the Minnesota Rocker. And honestly, I kind of want to go with Thieves on this one, just considering how Rocker have looked. I think like if you would ask me last week who I would pick for this series, I would have said Minnesota. But honestly, I'm gonna give Thieves the benefit of the doubt, and I'm gonna give us some 3-2 Game 5 ice. We're 2-0 in Game 5s. And I think the boys can pull it off again. I'll probably be wrong, and I'll probably jinx it since I picked them. Maybe I shouldn't pick them because they won when I didn't, but I'm gonna do it. I'm going 3-2 Thieves.
See, like these pickums are so lopsided, except for like maybe FaZe and Ultra.
I mean,
I
that was
can't even like
70-30 too.
I can't even like pick an underdog. Like, would me going Thieves be like an underdog, or is this like gonna be like the first
I
weekend? Like,
mean, technically it's an underdog because these are still considerably lower on the scoreboard or on the standings, but they're 1-1 and Rocker 0-4, so I guess like neither of them are great.
uh, I guess I'll match you. I'll go Thieves 3-2. I don't
Yeah.
like. There's not a series. There's not really a series this weekend that like sticks out to me. Like, oh, I can go here for maybe like Rock or FaZe, but Rockers look too for that. So
Yeah, honestly, the series this weekend are not that. Boston Legion and like Ultra FaZe are the two closest, probably.
yeah. Other than that, they're kind of some burger matches. Looking. Oh
Well,
well.
it is what it is. It'll hopefully be an easy weekend. Maybe we'll see a lot of 3-0s.
Yeah, at least the two that I picked. That'd be nice.
Right. All right. Well, that is going to do it for the pick'ems. Let us know if you have any crazy upsets in the comments for your pick'ems. I'd be interested to know if anyone has anything crazy because, like we said, it doesn't seem like there's really a lot of crazy stuff to sort of pick this week. But yeah, I got two questions for us to round out the show this week. We'll keep it on more of like the shorter end for the itinerary since Alex isn't here. First one is from Sanders on YouTube, who asked for our Major 2 Champs, MVP, Dark Horse, and Fraud predictions. So who we think is going to win MVP, Dark Horse, and what team we think are going to be kind of frauds at the Major. He asked this last week, so we have a little bit more intel now because we got to see the matches from this past weekend. But yeah, I mean, if you want to go first, if you have answers, if not, I can start trying to rattle some stuff off.
I got my champs, New York Subliners.
Oh, I kind of like that actually.
I do. I think they are hitting form.
Mm-hmm.
And they look good last Major too. But now I'm starting to think maybe it was a little fluke that they lost back to X Series on land. I think they're hitting a nice little form. Hydra's coming back to his levels, and Kiz looks insane, which is exactly what they need. So I'll go Subliners. I think they'll win. And the reason I'm going there in particular is because I said OPTIC would win Major 3. So if I don't pick them, I said a couple weeks ago I had him win Major 3. So I don't look that bad. I'll go MVP Kiz.
Okay, I like that.
I'll go Dark Horse Legion. And my fraud, I mean, I can't say Rocker because they don't really look good enough to be a fraud. So, yeah, it's hard to pick a fraud because they're kind of already frauds to begin with.
That's messed up. I mean, instead of saying frauds, like who are teams you think will go out top 12?
Okay, well, obviously Seattle, but that doesn't really count because I mean, my grandma could come in and say Seattle will finish top 12. I'm going Rocker, man. I am.
Yeah, I think that's probably the best obvious answer.
I'm going Rocker. Yeah. If not, and I'll pick a secondary answer as well, I'll go, and I'm not really sure why, but LAG. That's who it was. LAG.
That's fair. That is definitely fair.
LAG will be my second pick.
I like that. Yeah, you kind of read my mind with a lot of these. I mean, I think Major Champs, Toronto Ultra, the easy answer. New York was definitely kind of like an answer I kind of wanted to give because exactly what you said. They're hitting form. When Kismet is on point, that's when we've seen this team at their best, and he's looked really, really good. So I think Toronto Ultra, New York Subliners for kind of Major 2 Champs would be my pick. MVP wise, Scrap or Kiz probably would be my two answers for those ones. Dark Horse, biasly, I'm obviously going to say LA Thieves. Maybe there's a way they can. The way I see it is a lot of the teams other than the top 4 are kind of mid or bad. Thieves will probably start in losers bracket if we're keeping it realistic, but I could see them picking up a couple wins against some of these teams and losers. I mean, if they get unlucky and they have to play like OPTIC or New York in the second or first round of losers, like, yeah, maybe we're going out T12, but I can see us making a little bit of run. I think another good shout for it is the Las Vegas Legion, like you said. Attach, we know what Attach is capable of and leading his teams to do some good things. So
yeah,
I definitely like that. And then frauds, Minnesota's definitely the easy, obvious answer because they are 5th in the standings. They came top 4 at Major 1, and they look like they could definitely be pretty bad. But I'm gonna give a hot take one, and I'm gonna have to clarify as I say it. I'm gonna say Atlanta FaZe. Now, I don't think this means they're getting top 12. I think fraudulent for FaZe is like top 4, maybe top 6. But let me clarify two things. One is I'm pretty sure FaZe are going to end up top 3, but I wanted to give a better answer. And two, the only reason I think it's possible is because FaZe, I feel like a lot of the times when they win, especially against like other good teams, it's because they like can clutch up at the end of an HP or they can clutch up in a round 5 control. And I don't know, I just feel like you can only rely on that ice for so long before it's going to melt a little bit. Like, I feel like you don't see FaZe, like, absolutely just, like, 100-point club a team in HP, like, you know? So, and they just lost to New York. I mean, listen, I know it's unrealistic, but to give a not basic answer, I could see FaZe ending, like, top 4 this major, and that would be kind of fraudulent for what we expect out of them.
Oh, they are gonna cook you, bro.
Dude,
They are
honest,
gonna cook you.
it's all good. It's all good.
They are gonna cook you.
FaZe are a fantastic team, but I don't know. I kind of like Optic in New York and Ultra's form over FaZe out of the top 4 right now.
I mean, hey, who knows, man? If they play like let's say they finish like 5-2, 4-3, they can get like that 4-5 seed, play like a tough first round matchup, losing winners round 1, and then they can play like they play like the 9 seed or whatever it is. I mean, who knows? Who really
Yeah,
knows?
it's very unlikely, but I wanted to give a spicy one.
That's spicy. I thought you
I
were gonna
know.
go Optic for a second, and I was like,
No, honestly, I feel like, I mean, Optic could definitely lose if they play a good team. Like, you can't come out slow against Toronto, FaZe, New York. Like, if you lose map 1 and you're going into an SND versus 3 teams, like, all 3 of those teams are probably better than Optic at Search. Like, they can't do that. But I just think that Optic are, I don't know, I just think they're getting better, and I feel like they look pretty good when they're after map 1, they look pretty good. So,
yeah. I will say, just to back you up a little bit, since this new patch and the MCW nerf a little bit, Simp has kind of fallen off a little bit. He's still playing really, really good, but he's not playing at the level that he was in Major 1, where he was just taking over MVP Simp. We haven't seen that yet this split. They've only played 2 matches, so,
yeah.
I mean, that's obviously,
And
like,
Abeezy's been cooking now.
that's obviously super overreaction. I'm just saying, like, maybe. Maybe he has
We're just trying to be a little bit different, you know what I mean?
That's all. That's all.
Yeah, all right. And then last thing to kind of close it out, unless there's anything at the end you want to add, but from Ben Nichols on YouTube, he kind of had it was a bit of a paragraph, so I sort of summarized it for the sake of this. He essentially asked, should people be tweaking about LA Thieves? He saw people like on the flank, like Ben kind of saying like, and only Ghosty's the only one who really looks good right now. Like, should people, and I believe this was before we won last week, this last couple, like a couple days ago. So obviously take that into account. But essentially, should people really be tweaking about Thieves, or is this kind of like an overreaction?
No, it's not an overreaction. You're last in the standings, and I mean, you made a roster change where okay, you got to win, and it was a very hard fought win, but you still really don't look that much better to where it's like, oh, okay, now we're putting the foot in the right direction. We're gonna start making some runs here. So I don't think it's an overreaction at all. Um, maybe like some comments are tweaking because some people can be absolutely absurd.
Yep.
But for the most part, I think it's probably justified. I still think they're one move away. I don't know. I think maybe just bring Joe DeCeves back for Afro. Maybe we'll see how that goes. But for now, they won. So at least, at bare minimum, they got more points on the board.
Yeah.
But no, I don't think it's them tweaking at all. I think it's deserved. They haven't looked great. And criticism from your fans are things that should be taken seriously, if not taken completely out of context. And I don't believe this is taken out of context.
Yeah. No. As an LAT fan, I think that even though we won, you still got to kind of keep your eye on the team and make sure things are working. I still think Afro is up in the air. He definitely showed a little bit more this weekend versus Miami, and probably a big reason why they won. Like, Ghosty's been frying a lot of this season, so it's nothing new out of him, although he did have probably even better series than usual. But Afro definitely stepped up a little bit more this weekend. But I think they bought themselves another couple weeks, obviously getting that win. I mean, I think their saving grace is they have a very hard Major 2 qualifiers. So even if they end up losing the rest of their matches, I mean, maybe you should say, hey, you got to beat Minnesota because Minnesota's 0-4 right now. But like everyone else is better than you for sure at this point. So I think that could be a saving grace. But I think you definitely still keep your eye on it. See if it makes sense to bring Joe DeCeves back in for Afro. But I'm not going to tweak too hard about it because I think they're showing a little bit better as the series goes on. It was only their second series as a team that we saw. So I'm not going to overreact personally, but I definitely think, we can't just say, oh yeah, this is the one, man. This is the team. We're definitely going to make champs now.
Yeah. No, I agree. You definitely have a rough split. So
I know it's not fair.
like we said earlier, 2 wins you're feeling okay, 3 wins you're feeling positive, 4 wins you're feeling great. So
4 wins would be a miracle. I wouldn't even.
Yeah,
I would not
I agree.
expect 4 if you're a Thieves fan. Do not
No,
accept
I
4
wouldn't
wins.
either. No.
Definitely not. Oh man. All right. Well,
If
yeah.
you're a Thieves fan, I would expect 1 win, and then every single win you get from here on out is just bonus.
I didn't even expect 1 win. Set your
Jeez.
expectations low so they can only
Jeez.
be over exceeded.
Ah, man, wow, that's brutal, but fair.
Yeah, no. So I mean, this coming weekend puts us over halfway through the qualifiers until Major 2. So I mean, Major 2 is the 3rd week of March. So I mean, we're a little less than a month away at this point. It's honestly coming up fast. It sucks that we have 5 weeks of qualifiers, but
Yeah.
before you know it, we're gonna be getting ready for the major in Miami. But yeah, I'm excited for these last couple weeks of matches. And it's gonna be a good time. Any parting
Yeah.
words out of you?
Well, these matches coming up kind of suck. So,
Yeah, I'm a little disappointed.
you got like 2 out of 8 matches that are actually probably worth watching. Maybe Minnesota and FAZE could be worth watching as well. But just have fun watching some matches. Hopefully your guys' teams win or win the one time that they play, if they play once,
Yeah.
as Jake and I's do. Just have fun playing COD. Thank you guys as always for watching. Again, send Alex some love. He's going through some stuff right now, so missed that guy in the show, but he'll be back. And next episode, we got something special for you guys. We got something special. So I'll let Jake explain before he signs off. But that's all. As always, you guys know, go OPTIC.
Absolutely. Yeah, next episode, we're probably like 95% should definitely have, we're going to go through our top 30 list, top 30 COD pros all time. I know we kind of talked about it a little bit at the end of last episode about possibly doing it. We've all made our list, but obviously this week Alex isn't here and we weren't going to do a top 30 with his list and he's not here to, give his side of the story and explain what he's got going on. So we're definitely looking forward to having him back and wishing him all the best. But that's going to be a banger next week, hopefully, with the top 30. I think it's going to stir up some conversations. I am very terrified that I'm going to have someone in some crazy spot that no one's going to have anything near, or I'm going to forget someone somehow. I don't think I have, but you never really know. I'm very excited, though, to do the top 30s.
Nah, man, it's your list. If you feel that way, you feel that way. Just make sure you have a reason for it. Don't go up there and just say some fugazi stuff, and then just when we ask why, you're like, just cause.
I just felt like being different.
No,
Yeah.
I'm basing my list off of in order: skill, which is obviously probably should be of utmost importance; wins, which besides skill is obviously of utmost importance; impact, and longevity. So those were the 4 things that I went with. So little tidbit before we review next week: if there is a player who was of the highest skill level ever, but only played for 2 or 3 years, big timer. He won't be on my list. Okay, just a little fair warning. Okay, I just don't think it's right for the people that have been playing for years and years and years to put somebody on there who played like 2 or 3 times. So that's just the way I'll do it. Jake might have something different. Alex may have something different from us too. That's why we're going to get all 3 of our lists. Probably there's going to be a mixture of players.
Absolutely.
Some players are going to make it on lists and other players aren't. It's just what it is. But I think it's the plan to do it live so we can have people react as we're doing it.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
If there's
so
any
that'll
time to
be
do a
cool.
live show, it's during that.
Yeah, so that'll be cool. We're gonna go, and I think we're gonna go 5 at a time from each
Mhm.
person's list, so that it's just not long and 30 persons in a row. So um, that should be good. We're gonna take a couple moments in between, see what you guys are thinking in the comments, but it should be cool. It should be cool. Countdown from 30 all the way down to 1, and I'm looking forward to it.
Absolutely. Yeah. So if you guys are interested in seeing that episode live, being there in chat and sort of giving us your opinions as we go, maybe roasting us, definitely follow us on Twitter. All three of our links are in the description. And we'll be tweeting out when that live is going to be. It might be Monday, it might be Wednesday. Kind of depends on people's schedules for the week. So definitely follow us on Twitter, or at least check our Twitter. If you don't have one and you can't follow us, at least just check it here and there, and we'll be posting when that's going to be as soon as we can kind of get a confirmed scheduled date. But I'm so excited. I spent like an hour straight looking at my list today. I spent like an hour earlier or late last week. I'll probably look at it again before we do the show. I think it's going to be a blast.
Yeah, I have some downtime at work when I go into the office, and I was doing that today. And let's just say when I got there, I thought of some names, and I got really upset that I had to take somebody off of my list who just doesn't belong, in my opinion. And I got
Hmm.
really, really upset. I'm sure probably a lot of you can probably narrow it down who it is,
Yeah.
but
Yeah. I think most of us know.
we'll wait until next week
Hmm.
to show for sure.
Absolutely. But yeah, thank you guys, everyone, for listening. We appreciate it. If you're here until this point in the episode, which I bet you not a lot of people are, I want you to comment good, because I see it on Preston's shirt in the comments. Is that good
W.
golf? Is that like a good golf
It
shirt?
Yeah, it is.
That's
It
what I
is. I
figured.
love their channel. I watch practically all of their videos, and I also
Hmm.
love golf myself, so
Hell
it's
yeah.
fitting.
So yeah, if
Yep.
you're still here, comment good in the comments. You can add it onto a comment you're already going to do, or just type it by itself. That's how we know who the real ones are that's still watching or listening to this point in the show. Again, we appreciate the support a ton. This is episode 10/9.5. I'm going to put it 9.5. And yeah, thank you so much for watching, and hopefully we'll see you all in the live show next week.
Peace.